we're with Dave Rubin today. So, Dave, you're the smartest guy I know about blues, all things blues, but now you have
Thank you.
opinions and ideas and understandings of the mode. So this is cool. We're gonna talk some Dorian stuff I've never heard. These are like epiphanies, and anyway, thank you for doing this again. And we got to do this all the time. Okay, so you're Dorian.
At least
We,
all the time. Yeah.
for those who don't know, when we talk about Dorian, we're talking about one of the modes of the major scale. Okay, and it is a very useful mode of the major scale, and it's jazz musicians have always loved it, and yeah, Carlos Santana, but we also know that it can be used in the blues and blues-ish music.
Right.
Okay, so what's the history we know about guitar and the Dorian scale?
Well, I would maybe put a little caveat in there, Rod, as an introduction for people who are really new to this. It is one of the minor modes, along with the Aeolian, which would probably be the number one used in all forms of music. Would you
Right.
agree the Aeolian is the number one? Maybe this is number two. I'm not sure if it's number two. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It is a good one, and they have their uses. And you mentioned Santana. Let's come back to that if we have time, because there's two songs that you can talk about where one song is where he uses the Aeolian, and the
Okay.
other song is where he uses the Dorian. And then we can talk about why he's doing that because of the chord changes,
Right.
especially for blues, because it's the four chord is the key to the
Yep.
whole thing.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, so that said, now to my listening, this is what I said. I may not go back far enough here. In the rock world, not the jazz world, obviously, the first time I heard it, and I didn't know it at the time when it was played, is Robbie Krieger's solo on "Light My Fire"
Okay.
is in A flat Dorian,
Okay.
because the vamp is A flat minor to B flat minor, and then he's even playing the broken chord there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still a great solo, I think. Especially you hear the LP version where it wasn't cut for the radio.
Right.
That's the first one. Now, do you know an earlier one than that?
I don't know an earlier one than that, but I know like some of the early ones. Uh, uh Maybe do da 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 da.
Oh, she's not there. The zombies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So that's Rod Argent.
that
He's not
that
a guitar player though.
that might, yeah. No, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Might
that's probably earlier or
that
around
might
maybe
be
even around
earlier.
the same time.
That's British Invasion. Yeah, and like my fire is like 67, 68.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's a good one.
The Allman Brothers, they did a lot of that stuff not knowing what it was called.
Right.
Because what was cool about the Allman Brothers that I why they didn't sound like anyone else is because they took in all this outside, I say outside music. A lot of times what we do is we kind of like discriminate and we segregate our styles. If I'm a metal player, all I'm going to do is listen to metal. If I'm a blues player, all I'm going to do is listen to blues. What the Allman Brothers did is they loved rhythm and blues, but they also loved John Coltrane. They also
Yes,
loved Miles
indeed.
Davis. And they
That's right.
listened to it. Now they weren't jazz musicians,
No.
but they got those sounds in their ears, and it came Dwayne Allman. The reason Dwayne Allman sounds like nobody else in that world is because he, through osmosis, took some of the sounds he was hearing off Love Supreme and all the modal Miles and Coltrane albums from
Right.
late 50s and 60s and early 60s. So, uh, and of course Santana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So here's and of course we started talking about. I don't know if you edit this down. If you're going to put this out there where I'm talking about using it in a major key, but we're talking about minor key. Now we're talking
Yeah, yeah.
about using it the way it's used. So the two examples I always use with my students when it's Aeolian or Dorian is um, Evil Ways for Dorian,
Hmm.
right? And And
What key is that in? Is that?
I always played it in G. So G minor
Got
7
to
to
change your evil
C6
ways.
to C6. So you
Hey,
got the A
hey.
in there,
Yeah.
right? And what I say to my students is, okay, look at the Dorian mode here over this song. Ah, E. But I'm blanking on the other one, the Peter Green song,
Black Magic Woman.
Black Magic Woman. All right, so here's the whole thing about the 4 chord. So here's your G minor 7. Okay, that really could be either. Although I've my understanding is that Dorian seems to go over minor 7th chords. Is a good choice for minor 7th chords if that's the only chord you're playing. But because the song is this, with the 6th, but it's not the 6th that matters. It's the fact that this third of C is in the Dorian mode. If you happen to play the Aeolian mode, E flat, not good.
Yeah, yeah.
But Black Magic Woman, which is actually in D, you know, and the G and the 4 chord is minor, is in.
So Black Magic Woman is almost like a natural minor blues.
It is a natural minor blues because the 1 and the 4 chord are both minors. So how about if I did it up here? If I played that D minor up here, so you can see the G minor, and you play the G minor, well, oh, hello, the B flat in here is here's the D Aeolian,
Uh,
and there's the B flat. So the way I look at it, if you're playing blues or blues based music with a 1 and a 4 with the 4 chord in it, the 4 chord is sort of your indicator.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know that's not really written in stone, right? Not quite written in stone, but that's where you would decide, well, which minor mode am I going to use, the Aeolian or the Dorian? So you mentioned Santana. I just wanted to say that.
So okay.
Away
So
Dorian.
what you're saying is a really really good indicator in a really popular application of the Dorian is if you have a one minor chord to a either four major
Yeah, or even
or four dominant seventh.
or dominant 7. Yeah, the notes right there.
Long time
Yeah,
gone.
yeah,
It's
right.
been a long. So it's
Yeah,
around. It's
yeah,
within years of a couple years later.
yeah,
It's an
sure.
early one.
And if you just had a vamp 1/4, well, what is a minor vamp? Well,
Right.
is it minor to minor, 1 and 4 chord, or is it minor to major or dominant on the 4 chord? That's the way I've learned it,
Yeah, and I
the way I've played it.
kind of a
Well, that too. Yeah,
chameleon.
yeah, that too.
Yeah,
That
yeah. So
too.
anytime you see that, it's kind of like a kind of a benchmark for this might be Dorian. One of the things. So
Yeah.
also another
What?
thing, and I think
The
you said something about this. Light my fire.
Well, like my fire, this again, the solo section. Now you've got like if you're thinking that the key is A flat minor, and I'm just going to sink it here because that's what the solo is in. Uh, I always thought that was brilliant, by the way. A flat minor 7 to F minor 7 in the verse of Light My Fire.
Yeah.
That's not Morrison talking there. That's Manzarek, the keyboard player,
Right.
talking.
Right.
The guy who's studied classical. But isn't that a little bit unusual in a non-jazz tune? make that move.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, and the F is minor
Da
seven
da
too.
da 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 da. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is not
Anyway,
typical.
we digress, but the
Yeah,
solo part is A flat minor seven to B flat minor seven. So it's what is it? The first 2 degrees of
yeah. So it's a one minor seven, one minor seven, two minor seven.
yeah. Is that like the first 2 degrees of the Dorian? Could
Yeah,
we
yeah.
say the Dorian? It could also be the Aeolian, I suppose. But
No.
he clearly no, it's Dorian, right?
Yeah.
And he's like doing that little broken arpeggio, like and you can hear him go something like I'm playing it terrible, but I don't have it memorized. But
Yeah.
the first couple bars that he plays, he's clearly playing Dorian. Right? Now you can't hear me, right?
Huh?
You can't hear me when I'm playing.
Well,
You can
somewhat.
hear me, but it
Sometimes
doesn't
it goes in
record.
and out.
Oh, okay.
It
Anyway,
goes in. Okay, so now, what I kind of call that is, and it's not just this. It's like the moon dance progression.
and it's like Moon Dance, which is also it would be Dorian, no?
Yeah.
Except yeah, no, it's Dorian.
It's just it's just
I
the
think it's
intro vamp for
Dorian. Yeah.
Dorian.
Except when it goes to the four chord
And
is
then it goes
minor.
minor seven.
Four chord is minor,
Right.
not major. So if you were soloing, you could make a change there. No,
Right. Yeah.
use both scales.
Yeah, yeah. So the verse of would be Dorian. The
Yeah,
chorus would be
yeah.
Aeolian.
Because here's what he's singing, right? Right? That's what he's singing, right from the Dorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that okay, so let's discuss the your you have this interesting you saw Pat Martino like
Yes.
so that tell the world your Pat Martino story because it is eye opening for me.
Edit it down without too many asides and digressions. Um, heard him speak. He gave a workshop, and he happened to say when he was playing in the organ groups in the '60s, Charles Earland, and in Philadelphia, he discovered that he liked minor key fingerings on the guitar, and he liked them. He wanted to use them not only on minor key blues. He was talking pretty much about blues,
Right.
and he figured out a way to play them over major key blues with an alteration. And he only hinted at this, and I had to go home and I had to think of try it. I think he said something about playing up a fifth and using. And now he didn't say Dorian mode. I came to that. I tried different ones. He said minor scale. So okay, what is he playing there? So I experimented with Aeolian and Dorian, and I found that, for instance, if you're in the key of G and you have a G, and you're playing a G blues, a major key,
Right.
dominant chords. That if you went up to D, D being the fifth of G, and played kind of the basic Dorian fingering that looks like a minor pentatonic scale with some added notes.
So this is our minor pentatonic in D. Is that what you're saying?
At the 10th fret, like the root position that
That's that minor pentatonic scale that everybody knows. So
everybody knows that.
that's like scale number
So
one.
that's I call it number one, or the root position,
Yeah.
because you have the root note on the bottom. Yeah, the one everybody knows, and a million songs have been written, and blues guitarists have been using it since I don't know 1870.
Right.
So, so
Yeah.
probably maybe earlier.
Right.
Yeah, so I figured that, and then I don't know. This is because I've been playing this for a while. So this is at least 15 or 20 years ago when I heard this workshop with him. Uh, I started trying because he didn't say Dorian, but somehow I came around to Dorian, and I tried that, and that's when I realized what it was that he was saying because he never used the mode terms. He didn't say Mixolydian. He didn't say Dorian. He just said minor to major. So I
See,
spent
that's what's interesting about a lot of these. Okay, so you and I both think of Pat. We put him on a pedestal a little bit,
yes, we do.
and he's like this guy we completely look up to. They've developed their own language because that's what they do, and if they're able
That's
to
what they
make
do.
it work, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
And it's a lot of. Here's the other thing: a lot of people of his generation don't like using the term modes. Also,
What do they
like,
use?
well, they would play the modes, but they said, "I don't ask me about the modes." Like that's Joe Pass. Don't ask me about the modes. I don't know anything about the modes, but he uses them all the time. So that's not how he conceives it, though.
No.
It happens. It's like the Allman Brothers we talked about. They
Right.
were using it without knowing they were using it. So, um, but yeah, so that could have been part of it. But so what you're saying is it would be like a G blues or a G vamp,
Right.
and then you're playing a D Dorian over top of that.
So if I played,
So which is the Dorian of G7.
right, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that makes
So you
sense.
mentioned Allman Brothers that without going into in memory of Elizabeth Reed, which is another discussion. But how about Whipping Post? If I play that vamp from Whipping Post, which I hear is, now I know they're using bar chords, but I'm going to play this open position here. I'm playing. So A minor. What scale or mode would you play over that?
So are you playing this kind of that kind of sound?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
That's
playing
Dorian.
open A minor. I'm playing a A minor with open strings, and then going to C major.
Huh? Yeah.
This is what they solo over that part. So what would you play over that? I mean, I can hear what they're playing.
So what chords are you playing there?
I could play bar chords here too. I like it with the open string.
I like the open string.
I'm playing an open A minor.
Yeah.
I'm going up 2 frets and playing the same shape for a B minor, but with the open
Yeah.
string from the 5th string over, so I get that sound. I just have it,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm playing with these 3 fingers. What looks like
That.
it looks like a cowboy A chord
Right,
is a
right, right.
C major.
It's kind of like riding the storm out.
Yeah, right. So well, talking about the Doors, we should read. You talk about riding the storm out. How about Riders on the Storm? We can give a little talk on that one as well, right? That's E minor. Now I play the F sharp minor again with the open chords to G major. It's the same idea.
Yeah.
You don't really hear the guitar. It sounds like all keyboards, but
Yeah.
there is a guitar. And anyway, but you mentioned Allman Brothers. So would you play the door? Do you think they're playing some Dorian notes over this?
Oh, of course.
C minor to C major.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I thought so too. I've never
Yeah,
done
yeah, yeah. But I don't necessarily know, and I know they're not probably conceiving it that way. They don't know.
No,
They don't talk about modes either,
you're right.
but they use them all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So the Dorian mode. So what you said, and this is the groundbreaking for me. This is a lesson. Like
I'm happy to share it.
so we have a G7 vamp.
Like, yeah,
So that's me playing D Dorian over top of a G7 chord.
correct.
And it kind of sounds like, also, it sounds like Jerry Garcia. And
It does.
also,
It sounds like I was going to say. I'm taken back. Here we are in the summer of love here in psychedelic. They really and also, yeah, those all those San Francisco bands. They Quicksilver Messenger Service, uh, the Dead for sure.
all those guys listen to, as I said, they
Yeah,
were grabbing from everything.
that sounds like them.
Yeah.
That's like them. So should we make the point that we're playing Dorian fingerings, we're playing minor key fingerings over a major,
Yeah.
which again is what Pat Martino said,
Yeah.
but it's not really the D Dorian, it's really the G Mixolydian played in
Uh-huh.
an part of
Right.
it with a much
That's kind of
friendlier fingering,
there is a
which is
there is
his
a
point.
there is a concept here that the parent scale system kind of philosophy. Parent scale means if I'm playing over a G if I'm playing over a G7, if I'm more comfortable thinking it as D Dorian, and I know and I know my Dorian, I can play D Dorian just as long as you can transpose it. You know which is which.
Right.
You play any one of the modes over top of G7.
That's true.
Like if
That's
instead of
true.
G7, if I that was C major.
Right.
So parent scale system, which that deserves another kind of lesson later on here.
I like that. I've never heard that term.
Yeah.
I'm gonna borrow it if I may.
No, that's all right. That's exchange of ideas. So in other words, now I'm like all up in Jerry. So Carlos Santana, O Ye Come Va,
Or evil ways.
and Evil Ways. Probably lots of it. That's probably his preferred minor scale.
Yeah, and lots of Aeolian for Santana too. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely that one. And Oracle Mava too. Right. Absolutely.
Did you ever hear Robin Ford's version of Help the Poor?
Not
Okay, so
minor key song, right?
yeah. Now what Robin Ford does that is interesting, that is another layer in the Dorian thing, is he's taken from like McCoy Tyner. And what McCoy Tyner did is he and Miles Davis, they would play their chords in fourths.
Yeah, that's I know I've heard that. I've read that. I've listened to Tyner playing on My Favorite Things and
Yeah.
some other Coltrane tunes. I don't really understand it. I've
Yeah.
never
So
I've never
so all
played
these
it.
kinds of voicings, like over a D minor, singular D minor vamp, all these fingerings work.
And what is the theory behind it?
It's chord instead of like every kind of chord that everybody knows is tertial. Okay, so everybody thinks they don't name it tertial, but our chords are built in thirds.
Right.
Okay, so what Miles, maybe even George Russell, okay, because I think that's where Miles learned a lot of his modal stuff.
He wrote that famous book, right?
Right.
Wrote that book. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lydian chromatic. So
I,
anyway,
I know of it, but I don't know it.
yeah. So in chord, instead of having your chords built in thirds, he's building them in fourths.
Which does what?
So another sound, but the thing of it is, when we're playing over a D minor sound, I'm not just going like this.
Right.
I can play all these. You map out all the Dorian things in fourths, and then every one of those things can be you can.
Yeah. That's McCoy Tyner.
Yeah,
Me. That's
yeah.
McCoy Tyner.
So that's chord wise. So that's
Right.
interesting because you can play all kinds of chords, and it's the kind of like the Rosetta Stone of
Mhm.
early '60s jazz.
Mhm.
How did they create those sounds? And some of this, that's what Robin Ford is kind of taken from the
Okay.
in his version of "Help the Poor." Like he does an acoustic version. In the Blue Line, they did a song, they did a version of it, and he's just playing all these. So he kind of slurs the blues. He kind of slurs the blues, and he's slurring jazz
Oh,
influences,
sure. That's where he
rhythm and
comes from.
blues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dorian stuff. So Dave, we got to figure out what the next thing is that we're going to talk about because this has to happen more often. So
I'll give it some thought.
give me. Let's create a list. And I
Okay.
thank you for this.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yes.
for. It's been a while since we did one.
Yeah.
And I mean, you picked it. It was just we picked it. When as soon as you said it, I said, "Oh, I've got something here that maybe not everybody has heard."
I've not heard.
I happen to hear it from the horse's mouth,
Yeah.
and
So
been
what I
pulling with
thought
a
was neat
different thing.
about that, what I thought was neat about that was it kind of was an epiphany for even Pat Martino. That's
It
how he
was.
like
It was.
playing with Charles Erlin. He was like, "Oh, well, I kind of like this." And I will tell you this: the metal guys, that that scale might be the natural minor scale that they love, that
Oh,
they're
very
basing everything
possible.
on.
That's very possible.
Yeah, so if you want to play in a key of G major, which they never do because it's always in a minor key,
Right.
you just play your natural minor. So that
Right.
idea, again, parent
It,
scale system,
right.
maybe that's the next thing
Yeah.
we talk about, the parent scale system.
Yeah. I love that term. It
Yeah,
has a warm sound to it. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
it.
Sounds heady, sounds intellectual. Don't
Yeah.
be fooled. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
my pleasure.
And I
If I can recommend a Martino song for your listeners,
right?
if they haven't heard it, he used to play with Willis Gatortail Jackson
Okay.
after Erlin. This is he kind of moved up. I'm not going to say that Jackson was ahead of Erlin, but it's a little later in his career, and he did an album. Jackson did an album called Bar Wars. Instead of Star Wars, it's Bar Wars.
All right.
The title track is a swinging blues. It's extensive, and if you haven't heard it, and your
Uh-huh.
listeners will love hearing that Martino
Yeah.
solo on that track, which of course is dominant chords.
Yeah.
Uh, it's one of the all-time killer shuffle grooves. I'm telling you,
Okay. Bar
you
Wars.
it's called Bar Wars. Is the name of the album
Right.
and the name of the song.
Okay.
And Martino will give us all a lesson
Right. Right.
when you hear what he plays over it.
Yes.
I've not transcribed it, so but I can hear the notes. I can hear
Yeah.
some of the notes. But anyway, I
So
just thought
also Blues for Mickey O. That's how I fell in love with Pat Martino. Yeah,
I don't.
Blues for Mickey O. He just sounds like all the good guys. Like
Oh,
everything
okay.
I like about that kind of style,
Yeah,
he's
sure.
doing
Yeah, I
it.
don't know that one. I'll listen
Yeah.
to that.
So it's El Hombre, his El
Okay.
Hombre album. So it's another trio album. Okay.
Beautiful. That's how you like to hear them.
Hi, this is Rod from Boomer Guitar Sessions. I personally wanted to thank you for being part of our community. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. And this helps me spread my musical messages to all over the world. Thank you. I appreciate you. And always remember, you can do this.